Captain N was a cartoon that aired from 1989 to 1991. It crossed over all kinds of characters from the NES and Game Boy. Zelda, Kid Icarus, Metroid, Castlevania, Mega Man, and more. While it has a cult following, it was quickly forgotten as another weird relic of the late 80s like many other video game cartoons. But now, one broke college student is here to revive the concept for a modern cinematic universe format. This is the Captain NCU, a stupid idea we're doing anyways because it's fun. Welcome to part 3 of my Captain NCU series, an ongoing project where I make fictional pitches for a cinematic universe based on Captain N the Game Master. In parts 1 and 2, which is now available in one convenient video, I covered the first 6 movies in the franchise. 5 individual pitches, which all culminated in an explosive 6th conclusion, Captain N the Final Fantasy. In this video, I will cover the next 4 movies: Super Mario Land, Metroid, Mega Man 2, and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, a Captain N Halloween special. I promise I will explain the deal with that last one in due time. You might be a little confused if you're watching this without prior context, but it should still be comprehensible because that's how a good cinematic universe should be. I do heavily recommending watching episode 1 though. Phase 1 started with Super Mario Bros, so fittingly, Phase 2 will begin with its sequel, Super Mario Land. In Phase 1, I limited myself to only using content from the NES that was made before 1991. The year the original Captain N TV show ended. But for Phase 2, I've extended it to allow Game Boy content, hence Super Mario Land. Let's get into the movie. My Super Mario Bros. Pitch starred Captain N himself, Kevin, the son of Mario and Pauline, who lives in Brooklyn and just recently graduated from high school. Since Super Mario Bros. Was essentially the Iron Man of the Captain NCU, it was simpler compared to the other pitches. So I want to take a step back for Super Mario Land by having it be a simpler movie that still progresses each character and uses elements from the other world Captain N and friends visited a little bit more. The movie begins in a small college class somewhere in upstate New York. About 10 or 12 students are sitting around a table. The whiteboard simply has the word Dracula written in big bold letters. "Welcome to Monster Studies 101. You can just call me Daisy," the professor says. We're lucky to have this class here in New York, the same state where the Mario Brothers fought chaos just a few months ago. Well, I don't know if lucky is the right word. Daisy is a university professor and something of a hot mess. She's disorganized and teaching a new, underfunded subject at her college. This is extremely different from the Super Mario Land game, but please keep in mind I have to change a lot for the cinematic universe format. Daisy realizes she hasn't done attendance, so she scrambles to do so when she notices one name on her list. "Kevin Mario is in this class?" she asks the crowd of students. No response. Huh. Guess Kevin Mario isn't in this class. As she takes attendance, a small crowd of Shy Guys, the enemies from Super Mario Bros. 2, walk around the university campus. We get the title card, Super Mario Land. We've already had 2 big battles set in New York City, so for the Mario sequel, I wanted to change the setting up a little bit. Originally, it was going to be fully set in the Mushroom Kingdom, but then I thought about it further and that just didn't feel interesting to me. So the setting of Super Mario Land will be scaled back to show Kevin going to college, which will be the setting of most of them. The other world will still be a part of the pitch, and don't worry, there will be a proper name for the other world by the end of this, so I don't have to keep calling it the other world. We cut to a gas station in the middle of a highway. Kevin Mario is waiting. Curiously, he looks around to see if anyone's watching, and closes his eyes while raising his hand. He waits a moment, then opens his eyes. Nothing. He sighs. It's been a few months since Kevin saved the world in Captain N the Final Fantasy, and now he misses his friends. Especially Lana, the Princess of Hyrule, who he's developed a bit of a crush on. His family, Mario, Pauline, and Luigi, exit the gas station, and they all get into a recently purchased state-of-the-art Mario Bros. Plumbing van to drive Kevin to college. Kevin complains that he's already missing his first class. "Don't worry, you'll just be reading the syllabus anyways," says Mario. "How would you know?" Kevin refutes. There's some banter between the Mario family, and we see a flashback of the ending of Captain N the Final Fantasy. Kevin says goodbye to Lana as she leaves through a portal to go home. Toad is also there, making sure Bowser doesn't escape. Toad asks Pauline to join her to go back to the Mushroom Kingdom, but she refuses. She has a family and responsibilities here on Earth. She can't just leave it all. Toad, Bowser, and Lana go through the portal, as Kevin, Pit, and Simon use their powers to seal it away. As a reminder, those four are Warriors of Light, who have the unique power to move between dimensions. Kevin snaps out of his memory as they reach his college, Youngtown University. It's time for Kevin to say goodbye to his family. Pauline hugs him tight, and Mario awkwardly joins in. He's not super used to expressing emotions. After a tearful moment, it's time for Kevin to go to his dorm. Now I've gotta say, unfortunately, it is in character for Kevin to be going to university to study game design so he can make his own video games. If you want to stop watching this video now that the main character is a computer science major, that's understandable. Kevin walks to a mostly empty campus with a bright-eyed, determined look on his face. It's clearly an old building, and it has a warm, homey feel in the cool autumn wind. He asks a student for directions to the dormitories, to which they wordlessly point to their left. Kevin awkwardly shuffles in that direction. Luggage in hand, he smiles at anyone passing by, but they don't seem to react. In fact, the whole place seems oddly quiet. Kevin eventually gets to his room and puts down his bag. Before he can start to get settled in and unpack, someone barges into his room and shuts the door behind him. Surprisingly, it's Rick. Rick is one of Kevin's friends who appeared in Super Mario Bros. My Super Mario Bros. Thing, to be clear, and he originally comes from the Captain N TV show. Kevin has a few friends who return for a cameo in Captain N the Final Fantasy, but I completely forgot that Rick was one of them. So, to make up for it, he gets to be a character in the sequel, going to the same college as Kevin Mario. Kevin? Oh my god, it's you! Rick hugs him. Look, something's going wrong. Before either of them can talk, a crowd of ninjas appear from the window. Enemies from Super Mario Bros. 2 who resemble short, stubby ninjas. Despite being stocky, they're surprisingly nimble, and they quickly surround the two, ready to take them somewhere. Kevin smirks, confident in his monster fighting abilities. Let's catch up after this, Rick. The scene immediately cuts to the Mario family. There's a somber mood now that they're empty nesters. Luigi suggests they should go to a diner to get their mood up. The waitress at the place looks at them with the same awkward, vacant stare Kevin has been getting at school. They sit down, and for a bit the group begin to reminisce about all that's happened to them. The whirlwind of emotions they've all been feeling after Bowser first attacked their city, and Kevin was revealed to have powers. Eventually, they start reminiscing on memories they have together, and after the sweet moment, Luigi looks out the window. He motions for the others to look, as they see a 7-foot cactus monster wading down the street. It's a Pokey, another enemy from Super Mario Bros. 2, believe it or not. The scene zooms out to reveal that every road leading out of Youngtown is blocked off by giant creatures resembling Moai heads with sunglasses and arms at their sides. They're Toko Tokos, more weird enemies from Mario, but this time from Super Mario Land, the game this movie's actually named after. With these things blocking people off, no one's getting in or out of Youngtown. Side tangent, I replayed Super Mario Land for footage. I genuinely don't understand how people don't like this game. It's short but really fun, and I don't comprehend how you could like Super Mario Bros. But not Super Mario Land. Parental floss ruined a generation. Anyways, what the fuck is going on in Youngtown? Well, my original Super Mario Bros. Had a weirder feel that I likened to the first Ghostbusters movie. I want to capture that, but with a more small-town, creepy feel that takes the 80s sci-fi feel to a different direction. Think something like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but I've never seen that movie. I want to take inspiration from some of the weirder aspects of Mario that existed in 1991, so aspects from Super Mario Bros. 2 and Super Mario Land will be in no short supply. Kevin and Rick fight off the ninjas until one grabs Rick and plummets right out of the window onto the grass below. The dorm is on the ground floor, by the way. Did I mention that? Kevin runs after him when suddenly a UFO floats in. It matches the platonic image of a flying saucer to a T. This isn't Kevin's first time seeing a spaceship, but still, he's completely baffled as his tractor beam takes Rick up to the sky. Kevin gets grabbed by two Shy Guys and floats up, on his way to join Rick. But before the UFO takes him, two unseen people throw a rope around him and pull him back. He falls to the ground unconscious as they take him in. "Ah, there we go. Kid's finally awake," a voice says as Kevin wakes up in a dark and empty classroom. Who are you?" "Lay off, Spike. He could still be hurt." A woman comes rushing to Kevin's side. It's Daisy, the professor we've seen at the beginning of the movie. She checks up on Kevin, then explains that some kind of alien has been trying to take over the town, and people have been getting brainwashed. As far as she knows, there are only 3 survivors. Him, her, and a foreman who is working on campus named Spike. "And I boarded up this place, so you better appreciate it," he grumbles. Spike is a bitter, old, curmudgeonly man who just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. Makes sense, because universities are always under construction the exact day classes start for some fucking reason. Kevin tries to call his parents for help, but Daisy informs him that the power lines have been disconnected. Kevin doesn't panic. He has faith that his parents can stand up to the threat, but still, just what's happened to the people who have been brainwashed? "You picked a good day to skip classes, Kevin," Daisy laughs. How do you know my name?" "'Cause your dad and uncle were 2 of the lousiest carpenters I've ever had at my business," Spike complains. Daisy face palms. "No, that's not it. Look at the board." "Dracula?" Kevin asks. "Above that. I teach monster studies here. I never would have expected to see the kid who helped defeat chaos in my own class." Kevin is taken aback. He never would have expected he'd become that famous. He just took the class thinking it would be a fun elective. He awkwardly apologizes about missing his first class. And then Daisy starts to complain about how the department is planning on axing monster studies. According to them, now that chaos is defeated, they have no need for it. "Some good that mindset did us," she laments. "Aren't these aliens? Not monsters?" Spike asks. Daisy starts to go on a rant about how the label of monster has historically been used to describe what's other to enforce societal norms. Spike looks to Kevin with a, "This is why you should just go into the trades, kid." A lot of Kevin's character arc will have him learning to be an adult, and part of that involves dealing with other adults in difficult situations. Daisy and Spike are their own distinct, diametrically opposed personalities who would be forced to be working with Kevin in this movie. There's also not that many other human Mario characters who existed at the time. Just then, a knock is heard at the door. "Hey Kevin, it's me, Rick. Can I come in, man?" "Don't let him in, Kevin. He's a zombie," says Daisy. "Now look, we just have to figure out where to go from here. These boards can't hold us forever. Can you take us to the other world, Kevin? Maybe someone there can help," she asks. "No, I can't go there on command," Kevin says. "Look, I've been in tough situations like these before. If we want to get out, we have to confront it from the source. Is there anything we can use to protect ourselves?" "There's a gym on the other side of the campus," Daisy remarks. The scene cuts to a mad dash across the university, where the 3 heroes run past the brainwashed masses and aliens to get to a gym. The 3 armor themselves with whatever they can find, and get suited in blue pads resembling the hockey players from NES Ice Hockey, the closest I can really get to referencing the NES Sports series. Kevin and Daisy wield hockey sticks, while Spike has 2 hammers. They're ready to face the mothership. Meanwhile, the Mario family is trying to speed their way towards the campus when they're blocked by a forest of Pokies. Mario and Luigi try to hit as many of them away with hammers as we see a much smaller flying saucer with its eyes on them. It's a camera feed leading directly to the mothership, where a short, stocky purple alien watches what the Mario family is up to. This is the mastermind behind the whole incident, Tatanga. Tatanga is a scientist from another world and extremely hot-headed despite his immense genius.
Soon enough, the Warrior of Light will come right to me. Sniff it!
He yells as a shy guy waddles over to him.
How's Project 75M going?
The Sniffet speaks in some language we don't know, like, think Animal Crossing speak, because it's funny.
Good.
And then he does the most, fucked up evil gremlin laugh you've ever heard in your life. Back to the Mario Bros. They're ambushed and taken away by a gang of ninjas. The 3 survivors reach the mothership, which is perched on a hill, and they fight off some shy guys and ninjas. You know, haven't you ever wondered what these things look like under their masks? Kevin asks. Oh, that's the first thing I checked, says Daisy. Couldn't pull them off. As the group fight, they contemplate whether it's really aliens they're up against. Kevin and Daisy that they've seen much stranger things. Aliens from other planets are practically reasonable at this point. Spike is more skeptical. Aliens existing is still a huge deal after all. They breach the mothership and stumble into a facility filled with pods with humans inside. Before they can rescue anyone, a voice yells, "Get them!" Each of the group are grabbed by flying shy guys. These are Bezos, which are different things than fly guys. Tatanga steps forward.
Well, Kevin Mario, I've been observing you for a long time.
Tatanga leads them to his throne room. They beg him to explain what's going on here.
I'm Tatanga. I'm from the planet Zebes. Using my genius technology, I've been watching you for a long time, Warrior of Light, and I have a proposition for you. Take me to Magicant.
Magicant? Kevin asks. Do you mean the other world? I can't just...
Lies! My bot saw you go to Magicant before. Now tell me, or something might just happen to your friends over here.
Tatanga demands. I'm telling you, I can't do it alone. And why are you calling it Magicant?
I wouldn't expect someone with your intelligence level to understand.
Tatanga smirks. This is the villain exposition dump. As always, I hope it would be less of an exposition dump in an actual movie, but I made a joke about this being lazy writing, so that means that it's not lazy writing. Tatanga explains how he was part of a group of scientists on Zebes, trying to create the perfect soldiers and bioweapons. But they were shut down by a union of spacefaring peoples called the Galactic Federation. Tatanga escaped their justice to a backwater planet called Earth, where he learned about an alternate dimension made up of people's dreams called Magicant, only accessible by Warriors of Light. He studied the Warriors and decided that Kevin would be the one to take him there. If he could tap into the vast resources found on Magicant, he could find his way back to the Galactic Federation.
Now, Kevin, it looks like you need a little motivation to take me to Magicant.
As Tatanga says this, he brings in Mario, Luigi, and Pauline, who are being carried into the room by ninjas. Tatanga says they'll be brainwashed. In anguish, Kevin screams and the room is filled with bright golden light. In this moment, he's able to tap into the power of light, and even though he doesn't want to, he creates a portal. Tatanga smiles when Mario, Luigi, and Pauline, taking advantage of the chaos, break free and try to help the others. Pauline and Luigi are caught in the portal, while Mario is recaptured. Furious, Tatanga demands that Kevin create another portal. Kevin isn't able to, though. Tatanga is steaming, although he's so small that Daisy and Spike can't help but laugh, which makes him even angrier.
Sniff it! Prepare the chamber!
He glares at Mario with anger. So, Super Mario Land serves 2 purposes within the broader lore of the phase. The first is to establish more intrigue around the alternate world, which now has a proper name, Magicant, and is connected to dreams in some way. Magicant is the name of the world in Mother, aka Earthbound Beginnings, which should be interesting considering that there is a Mother movie later on in this phase. I also did take the name Youngtown from Mother, so good on you if you noticed that. The second purpose is to introduce spacey, sci-fi elements before it becomes a main focus, just like Super Mario Bros. Did with fantasy elements. The very next movie is Metroid, so I can kind of ease into having a movie set in space now. Back to the story, we cut to Luigi and Pauline as they landed in the Mushroom Kingdom. Been a while since we were here. They're greeted by the Toads, and not seeing any path forward, Pauline and Luigi agree to be shown around the town a little bit. Pauline and Luigi are two characters who didn't get a ton of screen time, imaginary screen time, so this middle section would give them a time to shine as a bit of a reprieve from the main conflict. They'd reunite with Blue Toad, who previously lived with them for a little bit. When Pauline and Luigi go through the kingdom, they slowly realize that the Toads aren't the best at running the kingdom on their own. Buildings are crumbling, their efforts to contact other kingdoms for diplomacy aren't going well, and all the plants in the royal garden are overgrown. Curiously, the flowers seem to be a little hot. There's also a lot of mushrooms growing here. I need to apologize to you now, because nowhere in my previous movies do power-ups appear at all, and I need to finally have fire flowers show up in a Mario movie. Ironically, it's in the movie named after the one game without fire flowers. Luigi gets a hunch that these flowers might be able to help them, and takes some of them with him in his bag. Pauline and Luigi then realize that there's only one person who can take them back to their world, Lana. They have to make the journey to Hyrule. "Look, Pauline, I know us Toads aren't really good at anything," says Blue Toad. I can't come up with a Toad voice, I'm sorry. "But please, let us help you." Pauline smiles. In a montage, her, Luigi, and the Toads make a long trek to Hyrule. We also see little bits of Pauline training up the Toads and showing them to fight. Meanwhile, Kevin, Daisy, and Spike are locked in cages while a Shy Guy puts Mario into a pod. The pod rattles and he's injected with something while Tatanga laughs. "Your father here will be placed into a more primal state," he cackles. A few days later in Magicant, Pauline, Luigi, and the Toads meet up with Lana, who is happy to see them. Unfortunately, the kingdom of Hyrule seems to be in ruins after Ganon's control was taken away. The people are trying to rebuild though, and the royal family is helping. Lana, like Kevin, can't create portals on command, but after Pauline tells her about what's been going on in the other world, Lana is able to create one because of her strong emotions. Pauline, Luigi, and the Toads go through the portal along with her. Once again back to Earth, we get a scene of a police officer from New York City investigating the town. It's no longer surrounded by enemies and is seemingly peaceful. He speaks to some of the locals and they're strange, but nothing illegal is going on from what he can see. Pauline, Luigi, Lana, and the Toads appear back on campus, ready to rescue Kevin and Mario. Tatanga's flying saucer spots them, and he sends out his alien minions to fight. This is the climax of the movie, where the minions and the zombies fully wreak havoc around campus. In my Super Mario Bros. Movie pitch, I described a scene like a less intense version of Gremlins, where Bowser's minions rampage all over New York City, and there's some fun set pieces. I want that to be replicated here, only with more of a college theme to make use of the setting and all that. While they fight Tatanga's forces to get to the other ship, we see what's happened to Mario. He smashes out of his pod, and has been turned into a gigantic, monstrous ape. This is how Donkey Kong is being incorporated into the Captain NCU. Now, I wish I could have had Mario turn into Wario, but unfortunately, Wario was not eligible as he debuted in 1992, a year after the Captain N show ended. Genuinely a little bit upset because that would have worked out perfectly. especially considering Wario was more outright villainous in the Game Boy era, but Donkey Kong as an evil clone of Mario is funny too, in my opinion. Donkey Kong starts to rampage throughout the ship, and eventually he breaks Kevin and the others out of their cages. "What the hell did that alien do to you?" Kevin screams. Spike laughs. "I always knew Mario had the brains of an ape." "Spike, shut up," Daisy says. "Look, we just gotta get out of here. There's gotta be a way to turn your dad back, Kevin, don't worry." I will admit Spike is underutilized in my material, but I imagine he could add more tension by arguing with Kevin, and Kevin would have to mature by putting their differences aside to reason with him. I'm interrupting myself. In a big action sequence, Kevin, Spike, and Daisy fight to survive against Tatanga's minions and a giant ape. The others fight minions on campus, and this is a big cameo fest for Super Mario Bros. 2 and Super Mario Land enemies. Luigi pulls out some power-ups, and the group get the upper hand with fire flowers and super mushrooms. Eventually, Mario, aka Donkey Kong, destroys the machine Tatanga used to brainwash people. Kevin isn't sure how to turn people back. The two groups unite. Kevin is very glad to see his parents and Lana again. Spike is grumpy to see Luigi, and Daisy thinks the Toads are super adorable. Spike is about to whack Tatanga on the head with a hammer when Donkey Kong shows up, grabbing a handful of super mushrooms from Luigi. Super Mario Bros. Had a big fight against a giant lizard for the finale, so this one, of course, has a giant gorilla as the villain. Donkey Kong grabs Pauline and climbs to the top of a nearby building. Oh no! It's the corporate offices of the Kaneoka Barrel Factory, and now Kevin has to jump over a bunch of falling barrels. Kevin climbs up and looks to his dad's eyes. Kevin simply hugs him, causing Donkey Kong to put Pauline down. He turns back into Mario and hugs Kevin. Mario apologizes and for the first time starts to cry. "It's okay," Kevin says. "Now let's take care of this last bad guy." Mario and Kevin beat the snot out of a weakened Tatanga and force him to undo everyone's mind control. The Toads take him into their custody, and his alien minions act aimlessly without their leader. The day is saved. Kevin is hailed as a hero by the populace, but he won't accept their praise. The true heroes were Pauline, Daisy, Luigi, Lana, the Toads, and I guess Spike too. "I'll give you one thing, Mario Brothers," Spike says. "You guys always were good at wrecking things. Good thing I'm getting paid to fix it all." Ha 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 ha. Oh, Spike. So, with the university faculty restored, they decide that classes are back on in a few days once everything gets fixed up. In the meantime, Kevin stays in a dorm with his roommate, a newly non-brainwashed Rick. Kevin's family will stay in town for a few more days to help him get adjusted before going back to NYC. The university faculty tell Daisy that they'll reevaluate whether to still have monster studies. Daisy offers a proposition. The Toads need a leader. She'll become their princess for a bit to study their culture, and if she can't find anything that proves without a shadow of the doubt that more research is required, she's okay with them cutting her classes. The board agrees. Spike's carpentry company makes a pretty fine penny now that so much of the campus and town were destroyed. The Toads ask him to build a better prison so that they can hold Tatanga, to which he says he'll consider it. Finally, there's Lana. Kevin shows her around campus and says that now he knows how to travel between worlds, he'll show her around some of the nicer places in town sometime. Lana smiles. Rebuilding Hyrule has been pretty taxing and she'd love a break from it all. Sounds like Kevin just asked her out on a date. After a few days, Kevin goes to his first class, bright-eyed and optimistic. The next hour and a half are the longest and most boring he's ever gone through. But that's just his life now. The end. Super Mario Land starts off as a smaller, more localized pitch, and I already went over some of my reasons why. But eventually it gets bigger and involves a lot more characters, even giving us more of a picture of the Mushroom Kingdom than we've really had before. I actually felt like balancing them was a bit less difficult than I thought it would be, or at least giving them enough to do. Luigi and Pauline were both characters that felt underexplored, and it kinda still skip over most of what they do in the movie, but they should at least get some screen time. Pauline is a Mario, so therefore it justifies the fact that I named the movie Super Mario Land. The Mushroom Kingdom is a Mario's land. As for Lana, the question of how much characters can be involved in each other's movies has definitely been raised. Now that the captain and protagonists have become acquainted with each other, it makes sense for them to pop up in each other's movies from time to time. I may do it in the future, but I still want characters to stand alone, so I will be careful to not overdo it, especially because we technically have 2 Captain N movies in this phase. I originally wanted Lana to have just a cameo, but the more I thought about it, it made sense for her to be reunited with Kevin, since that plot point was already established earlier on and didn't really have a payoff before. Gotta give the fans what they want, and get Kevin and Lana together already. We've also established that the Warriors of Light have some lingering powers, and can now travel between dimensions. I will admit, finding a role for Magikant is hard, now that its job as the main setting of Captain N the Final Fantasy is done. Let's get to the post-credit and mid-credit scenes. We see Bowser. He escaped from prison and is far away from the Mushroom Kingdom. He's in disguise in some kind of tavern. The seedy kind where people don't question a turtle monster's patronage. He hears a whisper of his name and follows to a round table in the back. He's surprised to see 7 Koopas, all with their own weird quirky designs. These are the Koopalings. One speaks up. Bowser, it's really you! We've been fans for quite some time. Maybe we can work together? Says another. Bowser smiles. He's back. I keep on forgetting I can use Super Mario Bros. 3 content. Maybe it just doesn't feel like an NES game to me, much less one made before 1991. That's in the best way possible. Super Mario Bros. 3 feels huge. Bowser last appeared in Captain N the Final Fantasy and helped out the Warriors of Light despite being a villain. His role was big enough that I opted to not have him come back in the main part of this movie so that a new villain could be in his place. But now, who knows what role Bowser will have in the future. Post-credit scene. Kevin is in Daisy's class as someone is giving a guest lecture. It's Simon Belmont, talking about that time he stared death in the face, except it wasn't actually death, it was a 400-year-old skeleton in Greece calling himself Death. An eggplant man was there too. After the class, Daisy thanks him for his time and she thanks Kevin for getting him contact with a real monster hunter. Oh wow, look at your whip. Daisy leans over towards Simon, feeling his muscles. And what a hunk you are too. You know, it gets a little time consuming having the kid transport me to the Mushroom Kingdom so much. Maybe another Warrior of Light can help me out a little instead. Simon looks over at Kevin with a look of sheer gratitude and introducing him to Daisy. The end. And now comes one of my all-time favorite parts of these videos, the part where I take a massive tonal shift because the next movie is very different. Here's the Metroid movie. Metroid begins on a rocky orange planet, the same place we saw in the post-credit scene of Captain N the Final Fantasy. This is planet Zebes, and while the surface is mostly empty, there's a vast cave system underneath it all. The camera pans down to the cave to reveal Samus Aran, in full orange power armor, searching for something. The caves have rivers of lava and small crawling creatures that Samus doesn't seem to be particularly concerned about. I know you don't care, says a voice in her helmet, but heat levels are 80% in this area. I'll be quick, Samus reassures them. Look, the voice replies. I'm obligated to tell you that with your suit's current energy level, it would only take about 20 minutes to... Samus turns off the intercom, then continues her search. We cut to a spaceship on the surface of the planet, with the crew of about 10 people from the Galactic Federation. Some of them are humanoid, while others are clearly alien. Bounty hunters, one complains. She's strange, says the captain, but she's good at her job. We find out through some very natural dialogue that this is a crew from the Galactic Federation, a union of different spacefaring civilizations meant to protect worlds from intergalactic threats, but it's an old institution with a slipping grip on the galaxy. After the increase in space pirate and Metroid attacks, they've been forced to hire bounty hunters like Samus Aran. Their mission? To kill every last Metroid. Samus eventually stumbles upon a scientist outpost, with a large green pod in the middle. She fires an ice blast into it, then stomps on it, smashing it to pieces. Chunks of alien covered in ice lay all over the floor. Samus looks around, seeing if there's anything she can learn about the Metroids from the scientist's notes. She calls the crew from the Galactic Federation and asks them if the ship is all locked down so no Metroids can get in. The crew assures her it's fine. Good. I'm coming back. Samus climbs up the caves as we see a ship parked on the surface of Zebes. The planet is almost completely empty, aside from a few Metroids buzzing around the surface. Small, flying, jellyfish-like creatures that are single-minded in the pursuit to attach themselves to the nearest sign of life. Some of the crew members notice them and laugh off their attempts at getting into the ship, but these life forms are persistent and make their way through a small crack in the ship. Eventually, the crew finds them and all hell breaks loose as the Metroids attach themselves to everybody one by one, killing everyone slowly. The captain runs away to defend his crew with an ice right hidden behind glass in case of emergencies. He shoots the Metroid before being bitten himself. Samus arrives to see the hellish situation that's just happened on the ship. Clearly, it's not the first time this has happened. She looks around and eventually sees the captain. They make eye contact, both knowing what will happen now. Samus shoots him with a plasma ball, ending his life right there. No one can survive a Metroid bite. It buries its acid deep into their heart and kills them slowly from the inside. A few minutes later, Samus makes a holographic call with 4 old, wise aliens. This is the Federation Bureau, the governing body of the Galactic Federation. I found another Nora Science Academy outpost. Further investigation required, she reports. But there's been another issue you want to hear about. The Federation Bureau scolds her for losing her crew, but she refutes. It's the fault of the crew for not following the safety precautions. The Federation says that they can't send any more people and ends the call. Samus looks around the ship and removes her helmet. She sits, alone. I mentioned this before, but in the 80s, video games were a new medium, and many IPs started as playable versions of popular genres or takes on popular movies at the time. Like how the original Final Fantasy is basically a digital D&D game, or Mega Man, which was heavily influenced by Astro Boy in its themes and aesthetics. Knowing this, Metroid is super obviously inspired by Alien, and that's the kind of mood I want for the Metroid movie. It's dark, isolating, and atmospheric. There will of course be differences, but that's how the aesthetic of Metroid started, and this pitch's tone would be Alien inspired. The original Alien is one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and one of the few movies that genuinely still really creeps me out. It would be pretty interesting to see that brought to a cinematic universe I just created. I went through that opening scene fairly quickly, but do keep in mind that it would probably be slower to let the atmosphere of Zebes and its aura of hopelessness and isolation shine through. After all, in the original Alien, it's more than 40 minutes until any aliens start showing up. The Galactic Federation in current Metroid media is usually portrayed as a militaristic organization run by humans. Think aliens instead of alien. But in the manual to the original Metroid, it felt a little different. They were portrayed more like a group of disparate aliens that have come together to regulate the galaxy, and their power is weakening, which is why they call on bounty hunters. That's the kind of Galactic Federation that would be calling on Samus in the movie. This is also the first pitch idea set in space, and it would show a vast system of spacefaring civilizations that are both far away from Earth and have been decimated by various threats, like the Metroids. The Metroids themselves are a terrifying life form that has completely destroyed most life on planet Zebes. They were created by a science group, implied to be the same one Tatonga was a part of, and once represented an existential threat to the Galactic Federation and all of life itself. Samus was hired by the Galactic Federation to kill them all. Throughout the movie, there is an implicit connection between her and the Metroids, and some suggestion that the quest to kill them all has weighed on her consciousness somehow. I have strong opinions on what Samus should be like. She should be calculated, competent, self-driven, jaded, seemingly emotionless, and isolated from other people. Some people used to think that Samus was a robot when they originally played the NES Metroid. There will be some people in-universe who genuinely might think Samus is an android. I don't think Samus should be portrayed as mother-like or stereotypically feminine, but deep down she does have a deep respect for life, and her actions are motivated by the desire to save as many people as possible, even if she doesn't show it. This interpretation of Samus in my mind was probably formulated through years of being burned by awful depictions in things like Other M, but it's what I think would be the most interesting for the broader universe and a Metroid story. I would not want a Metroid story to exist in this universe full stop if Samus wasn't like that. Throughout the movie, there's an implicit connection between her and the Metroids, and some suggestion that the quest to kill them all has weighed on her consciousness somehow. This aspect takes some inspiration from Metroid 2 on Game Boy, because yes, I'm allowed to use more than one Metroid game. Metroid 2 is about Metroid genocide, and once you think about it deeper, there's a haunting, morbid sense to it. The amount of Metroids you need to kill is shown to you on screen at all times. Samus will grapple with both her isolation and the feeling of guilt in her Metroid genocide quest. Sure, the Metroids were created to kill all life, but both her and them were created as killing machines. Anyways, let's actually talk about the plot and not philosophical conversations now. After some time passes, Samus heads back to the caves. She notices a passageway she didn't see before, and then, in a scene that defies all logic, turns Morph Ball and moves through it. The Morph Ball won't work in live action. Boring! Come on, have some imagination. This section resembles Brinstar, and for a good solid few minutes, she explores as is Metroid convention. Curiously, there seems to be a lot more Metroids than she would have realized. All evidence pointed towards them being mostly extinct, but now she sees a lot of them. Samus has to fight fiercely, and after it all, her suit notably has some battle damage. Eventually, she's blindsided by a Metroid that breaks through her armor and bites her. She takes it out, but now there's only a matter of time before she dies. The pain only gets worse and worse as she moves forward. She stumbles on another science outpost, blocked by a red door. She smashes it with one missile. Inside is a spiked yellow alien with green fur. An infamous space pirate, Kraid. Kraid attacks Samus, and an action sequence ensues where she's almost killed by him. She gets an intense pang of pain as a voice tells Kraid to stop. "Samus Aran," an alien says. "Apologies for our friend here. He doesn't talk much. You and us are after the same goal." The alien is a blue dragon-like creature named Ridley. This is inspired by the NES version of Metroid exclusively, so Ridley is not too big. Ridley is cunning, while Kraid is more the strong, silent type. They were once a part of a notorious space pirate crew that terrorized the rest of the galaxy before being decimated by Metroids. Samus reluctantly listens, as Ridley explains how they're also here to destroy all the Metroids. Both he and Kraid are the last surviving members of their crew, and they managed to survive using a procedure the Science Academy invented, where frost-circulating nodes are surgically grafted onto the body. Samus finds it disgusting, but realizes that it's her only path forward. She points her gun at Ridley. You're gonna do it on me," she says, nearly collapsing. Ridley smiles. "You're gonna was big time after this." That wasn't meant to be a pun on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. In the next scene, Samus is cut open by Kraid as he does surgery on her. During the procedure, she keeps hearing odd voices. They're creepy but almost take her mind off the pain. The voice tells Samus that if she kills Kraid and Ridley and takes her to a planet called Earth, her and the Metroids won't harm the rest of the galaxy. Samus ignores this telepathic voice, and Kraid tells her to rest up. They only start to get louder, so Samus gets up and looks around to where it's coming from. She sees a large crate and opens it up to reveal what looks like a giant brain in a glass container. Metroids are literally seeping out of it, yet they're not trying to kill anyone here. The brain introduces itself as Mother Brain. Mother Brain is the leader of a hive mind that controls the Metroids, and was created by the Science Academy. As long as she's alive, the Metroids can't be stopped. For whatever reason, Mother Brain wants to be taken to Earth, a faraway planet only the Galactic Federation ships can get to, thanks to their capability for lightspeed travel. If she goes to Earth, the rest of the galaxy will be safe from the Metroids. Samus has no intention of appeasing Mother Brain, but Mother Brain has a psychic hold over her mind. Samus can't run away. Kraid and Ridley run in and immediately battle with the Metroids. While the Metroids can't use acid against them, they still have teeth, and Mother Brain attacks with fire and lightning. Samus crawls away and picks up pieces from the scientists, such as plating or rockets, and attempts to use them to repair her suit. This is basically the equivalent to how she powers up in the Metroid series, allowing her to go places she couldn't before. Ridley, on death's door, tells Samus about a secret outpost in a place called Torian, which holds the key to destroying Mother Brain. He tries to say what it is before he's impaled by a Metroid, killing him. I kinda made Ridley a good guy. Ridley isn't quite Samus' arch rival yet, so I can take creative liberties. Mother Brain asks Samus if she'll agree to her request, but Samus just runs away, bearing Mother Brain's attack. She fights swarms of Metroids as she leaves. Now she just needs to figure out how the hell to get to Turian. She goes through the same passage she took to get here, and goes back to the science outpost in the lava area, fighting different aliens who are there. She's able to piece together a map, and now she knows how to get to Turian. This is my map from when I played Metroid, by the way. It didn't help much. Samus descends an elevator, and her descent into Turian should be paced as close as possible to the original NES Metroid's Turian section, complete with all the eerie silence. She reaches a door and sees Mother Brain in a container right in front of the controls. She dodges Mother Brain's attacks, and then Kraid appears. It turns out, Kraid placed her there using a system of elevators. He survived earlier and is going along with Mother Brain's plan. Samus battles Kraid as she avoids Mother Brain's attacks until eventually Kraid is knocked down. The original NES Metroid actually had 2 Kraid boss fights, one of which was against a fake Kraid, so this is kinda like a reference to that. Samus shoots Mother Brain with missiles until her glass shatters. Mother Brain hits Samus with a psychic attack, and just before it seems like she might die, Samus sees a control panel and immediately sees the secret to defeating Mother Brain that Ridley was talking about. That bastard. It was a self-destruct mechanism set to blow up all the scientists' outposts and destroy the planet. With his dying breath, Kraid activates it. Mother Brain, in a flash, disappears from the planet. Samus knows this isn't the end. No Metroid movie would be complete without the third act being an escape sequence from a planet about to explode. Samus finds some high jump boots and uses them to escape through a passage leading to the surface as the cave starts to crumble around her. She reaches the surface and runs back to the ship, and leaves right as the planet explodes. Against all logic, Samus gets a feeling that Mother Brain isn't dead. She starts a call with the Federation Bureau, and sets her course for the Galactic Federation homeworld. The homeworld is a technologically advanced marvel, with future cities that jet up to the sky. Samus lands the ship, almost hitting several other ships, since she isn't exactly a pilot herself. She steps out of the craft right to a large building where the council is waiting. 4 aliens around a desk in a large enclosed room. Think something between the Citadel Council from Mass Effect and the Jedi Council from Star Wars. They congratulate her on exterminating the Metroid threat and express sorrow for the lives lost along the way.
The kind of bullshit Samus sees right through. They get to the matter at hand. We have reviewed your evidence, Samus Aran, and we've decided not to send aid to Earth. Are you kidding me? Samus snaps. Civilizations are at risk of dying. While the potential of Mother Brain's survival would pose a considerable risk to any Earthen civilizations, the head councilman explains, any populations on Earth would likely be slim, and there's an extremely low chance of any spacefaring capability, which... What does that have to do with it? Samus shouts. Look, Samus, says another councilman sternly. Earth is so far away you need light speed travel to get there. With time dilation, that would cause any traveler to lose 50 years of time relative to this planet. We're not sacrificing someone's life for some backwater. Samus clenches up with rage and storms out of the meeting room. The councilmen shout at her to stop. Samus, if you act on your own, we have full authority to bring you into custody. I don't care. In her last act, Samus runs away from guards and commandeers the Galactic Federation ship. She doesn't know how to work the lightspeed mechanism, so she forces the captain to join her on the trip to Earth. She flies off. Metroid is the kind of movie that would be made to pose more questions than to answer them. There's literally a whole galaxy of possibilities for how the Captain NCU can progress. And now that Samus is seemingly going to Earth, it should be interesting to see her potentially interact with others, given her more morally gray attitude. Mother Brain is also seemingly, I say seemingly as if I'm not the one writing this, being set up as a big new threat, so we'll have to see how that turns out. I will say my pitch for Metroid might have skipped over more things than previous pitches, because this isn't the kind of movie where I can explain the appeal through just a plot summary, because of the focus of atmosphere and pacing this movie would have. The movie should focus a lot on the psychological character of Samus Aran, and also it is a lot harder to find names for background characters than when I was making movies based on fantasy games. Let's move on to the mid and post-credit scenes. Earth, early 1900s. A ship crash lands in the snow right in front of an old cabin. An old lady takes in a young deformed alien, and as she enters the cabin, we see words written on the ship. Nora Science Academy. In an almost equally ominous moment, the post-credit scene shows us Pit, last seen in Captain N the Final Fantasy, descending into some damp, dusty old caves. I have a rule for this phase that Metroid is the only movie allowed to have cave scenes, so this is my workaround to getting some other characters in caves. Pit uses a spell to light up the place, then picks out a few tomes from the ancient library of Paluopolis, as we see a mural in the back. It depicts what appear to be swarms of Metroids. It was revealed in Captain N the Final Fantasy that Pit's civilization has a connection to a spacefaring society called the Lephanes. Seemingly, they know about the Metroids, except they call them Komatos. Now that Metroid is over with, and that Pit got a little cameo, there's one more member of the Game Masters technically still unaccounted for in this phase. My next pitch, bearing the name of one of the greatest NES games of all time, Mega Man 2. We begin on a stormy night at a heavily guarded maximum security prison somewhere off the coast of the US. A robot surrounded by a bubble effortlessly glides across the surface of the ocean. He's on his way to the prison. The robot has the shape of a person, but is still seemingly half-built. It's got no shell on the outside, showing wiring and electronics to the world. A proto-man, if you will. He flies past the prison walls and enters the building, and faster than lightning, he effortlessly zips past the armed guards on duty. He reaches the cell of Dr. Wily, who looks to the bot with a smile. Title drop, Mega Man 2. We immediately cut to a classroom filled with young children. Mega Man is at the front, telling the kids about his experiences and all the ways robots can be used to help people. His robotic dog companion Rush is also there, giving emotional support. One of the kids raises his hand and asks a question. Can that gun on your arm kill people? Mega Man awkwardly tries to skirt around the topic, when another kid asks if aliens are real. Well, we don't really know. It depends on what you mean by aliens. The bell rings. The teacher makes all the students thank Mega Man for his time as he smiles and leaves the classroom. Roll, who is waiting right by the front, meets him, and they walk and talk down the San Francisco streets. Suddenly, a bank robber runs out of a store, and Mega Man chases after him as bystanders cheer him on. Just when it looks like Mega Man might catch the robber, he jumps off a bridge a few feet over a river and makes a getaway. People shout at Mega Man to get him, and Mega Man considers making a block of ice to trap him, but he doesn't do it. After he became one of the most powerful machines on the planet, he's decided he's not going to use any of his powers that he copied from other machines. Rush catches the robber, saving the day, but Mega Man couldn't do anything. We cut to the laboratory of Dr. Light. In the time since the last Mega Man movie, he and his friend Dr. Cossack have built the lab into something massive. They have about 20 scientists employed at the lab, working on technology for the betterment of mankind. Mega Man and Roll enter and walk around, looking for Dr. Light. The employees and Cossack greet him and tell him Dr. Light is upstairs. They go to Light and tell him how their day went, so he talks a bit about some things he's been working on. As a side project, he's decided to investigate some of the artifacts from the Youngtown incident to see if they're really alien in origin. So far, he's found nothing. Suddenly a knock is heard at the front door, and one of the scientists answers. It's a robot about the size of Mega Man, in red with a yellow scarf and a shield. He points his arm cannon at the scientist. Where is Mega Man? The scientists all cower on the ground as Proto Man charges up a blast. I'll take you to him, says Cossack, confident that Mega Man will be able to stop this intruder. He takes him upstairs. Mega Man, Roll, and Dr. Light are shocked, and Mega Man immediately gets on the defense, pointing his own arm cannon at the intruder. You can call me Proto Man. I'm not here to fight you, at least not yet. He clearly has anger in his eyes, but something's tempering him for now. I have a message for you, Mega Man. Before Mega Man can ask anything, Proto Man hands him a card. You better show yourself, he says as he walks out the door. Proto Man is the Captain NCU's biggest ore farmer to date. The card is an invitation to something called the Battle of the Bots. It's a tournament where robots from all around the world come to test their strength, and this is the first year it's being held. It's a big deal. Even the scientists under the employ of Dr. Light and Dr. Cossack know about it. Dr. Light is surprised about who's running it. Professor Hector. Hector was the first one to create a robot with sentient life, and was one of Light's biggest inspirations. He's a good man. It doesn't seem like something he would organize. One of the scientists assures Dr. Light that it's all above board, and that no robots are getting killed in the tournament, but Light still finds it suspicious. I think the bigger question here, Roll says, is who the heck that intruder was. I think I might have an idea, Dr. Light admits. He explains that when Mega Man was originally being created, there was a prototype version that mysteriously went missing. This was when he and Dr. Wily used to be friends and lab partners. Knowing what he knows about Dr. Wily now, he gets an idea just who might have been behind this mysterious disappearance. Mega Man grips the paper with determination. He doesn't like it, but it's his duty to investigate. Mega Man 2 will be a tournament movie. I gave the previous Mega Man movie a lot of influence from retro sci-fi and Astro Boy. Mega Man 2 would be more like a shonen anime. Now, the plot of Mega Man 6, which is content I'm not allowed to use, involves a tournament like this one, but the topic is broad enough, especially with my influences, that I think it should be okay. In fact, I didn't even know about Mega Man 6's plot before coming up with this idea. A tournament setting makes sense for a few reasons. Tournament stories tend to have a lot of characters and plot lines, which is facilitated by their structure allowing lots of time for everybody to shine. Mega Man 2 has 8 robot masters to deal with, plus Proto Man is getting involved, which means there's gotta be a way of making sure they can all feel meaningful to the plot. The main reason I chose a tournament, however, is that it can adapt what makes Mega Man 2 such a great game. It's a thinking man's platformer. If an enemy is too hard, you can almost certainly find a good weapon to get around it. If a boss is too hard, you just have to find its weakness, and if a platforming section is hard, Heat Man stage, you can just clear some other stages to get an item to help you. This design philosophy was definitely present in Mega Man 1, but it's expanded on way more in its sequel, and it's what makes it such an iconic game in my opinion. With Mega Man now effectively depowered, he's gonna have to find smarter ways to get past every enemy, like someone playing Mega Man 2. But I'm getting ahead of myself here, back to the actual plot. Dr. Light pilots the jet to the coordinates of the island. Mega Man is of course hesitant to leave his peaceful life and participate, but it's the only way to investigate the deal with Proto Man and the potential connection to Dr. Wily. From above, the island seems to be man-made. It's got one large arena in the center, surrounded by a few buildings, and a large runway to dock planes. Light sets the plane down, and the group walks through the main entryway of the island. It's booming with more robots than Mega Man has ever seen in his life, as well as scientists looking to make a fortune, and vendors selling merchandise. Clearly it's a huge event. Mega Man goes to sign up, but the organizers assure him he doesn't need to, he's their invited guest. Mega Man takes a look at the board and sees that his first opponent is a robot named Metal Man. Just then, the screen of a giant monitor turns on. Who's ready for the Battle of the Bots? The crowd cheers. I can't hear you! The crowd goes wild as a blue and yellow robot walks on stage while like Daft Punk or something is playing at full blast in the background. That's better. I'm Flashman. I'll be your robot MC for the tournament. Now, before we begin, let's remember who made all of this possible. Let's give a round of applause for Professor Hector! A man even older than Dr. Light walks on stage to thunderous applause. Thank you, he says. 40 years ago, when I designed Rob, the first ever sentient robot, I never would have imagined robots coming this far. To the thousands of robots who have assembled here to showcase the might of nations all across the world, I say welcome and good luck. Flashman delivers the rules of the competition. The tournament will go by a bracket system. The first robot to be knocked out of the ring or KO'd will be eliminated. Roll asks how someone can even KO a robot, but no one seems to be able to answer her. Whoever is left standing at the end of the tournament will get a staggering prize of $20 million, enough to let any scientist pursue what they've really wanted to do, or to just retire peacefully as a millionaire. The first matches will happen tomorrow morning. If Wily really is organizing this, Dr. Light says, there's no way he has $20 million. He, Mega Man, and Roll decide to rest up. Just then, Proto Man bumps into Mega Man. Mega Man asks him who he is and if he has anything to do with Dr. Wily, but Proto Man just tells him that all will be revealed in due time. That is, if he can manage to raise through the ranks to fight him. As Proto Man leaves, Mega Man realizes he has to genuinely try his best to win this tournament. He doesn't care much about the money, but he wants to know the truth. The next day, the first bunch of battles begin. First up, Airman vs. Rad Spencer. Rad is a cyborg with an extendable bionic arm, which is deemed enough to qualify him as a robot for the sake of this tournament. He's cool, suave, and dorky, truly living up to his name. He's taken out pretty quickly from a long-range attack by one of Airman's wind blasts. Rad lets out a frustrated sigh. I can't beat Airman. Then he makes a quip about how draining just being in an arena surrounded by hundreds of people feels. The next two fights also involve robot masters. Woodman and Heatman versus some military robots from an unspecified European country, RD-008 and RC-011. Woodman and Heatman win. Next, Mega Man does battle with Metal Man. See, Metal Man is pretty much always the optimal robot master to fight first in Mega Man 2, so it fits. Mega Man has trouble, but eventually grabs one of Metal Man's spinning blades and throws it back at him, then pushes him out of the ring to get the victory. Finally, we see Proto Man fight a Mecha Dragon. Proto Man makes use of a bunch of different abilities, all coming from Mega Man 2 robot masters, including other opponents of the tournament. Giant air blasts aren't enough to sweep the dragon away though, so Proto Man destroys it by shooting a small bomb into its core and detonating it. Meanwhile, Roll is searching through underground tunnels to see if she can find anything that links this place back to Dr. Wily. Is someone there? Roll hides behind a desk, and we see the source of the voice, Rad Spencer. He notices her immediately, but it's okay. He's also on the lookout for anything he can tie back to Dr. Wily. He explains to Roll that he's part of a secret US intelligence organization called the FF Corps. He was sent to investigate whether Dr. Wily is here after he escaped from prison. Every cinematic universe needs their secret organizations like S.H.I.E.L.D. or Monarch, and FF Corps will serve that purpose for the Captain NCU. The name and the character of Rad Spencer, of course, both originate in the Capcom game Bionic Commando. Rad and Roll look for clues together. Also, Rush is here and he searches for clues and stuff. After Mega Man's match, there's a little scene of him walking through the island as everyone recognizes him, to set the scene a little. Even among the robots, he's a celebrity. He obliges requests for pictures, but everyone keeps asking him over and over again when he'll show his true powers. Mega Man and Dr. Light go back to the room to rest up, as Roll and Rush barge in. She explains how she just met Rad Spencer, and they both found evidence that links the tournament conclusively to Dr. Wily. Roll shows the two a piece of paper. It's a printed out email correspondence between Hector and Dr. Wily, giving a time and place for them to meet up tomorrow. Professor Hector, working with Dr. Wily? Light exclaims. And he printed out this email? Mega Man asks. Roll nods her head. Hector was always a little behind the times, says Dr. Light. So printing an email makes sense for that old man, but still, there's no way this is the real Hector. This could be a trap, Mega Man remarks. Dr. Wily does love ambushes. Well, we'll have to investigate anyways, Mega Man declares. Conveniently, the time listed on the email is right after Mega Man's second match of the day. So Roll, Rush, Rad, and Dr. Light will stake out the spot tomorrow, and when Mega Man is finished, he'll be there to confront Wily. Meanwhile, Rad Spencer is trying to use a radio to contact people from the FF Corps. No luck. Someone must be blocking communications. Next day, Proto Man battles a robot called Sniper Joe. Once again, it's pretty much just a showcase for Proto Man's abilities. He fires metal blades, slicing its limbs off, then picks it up and throws it out of the ring. The crowd goes wild. There's a fight between Woodman and Heatman where, believe it or not, Heatman has the clear advantage over Woodman's powers and takes the win. Mega Man's match is against Airman. At first, it seems basically impossible with Airman's wind abilities, and Mega Man very nearly resorts to using a powerful energy blast from the War Mech, but stops at the last second. Airman smiles before the fight resumes. Mega Man's strategy is to make a mad dash around Airman until Airman fires enough wind blasts that he effectively creates a giant tornado and flies way out into the crowd. The crowd goes wild for Mega Man's unconventional techniques. Through a montage, we see the rest of the Mega Man 2 Robot Masters battling some generic robots. Bubble Man, Quick Man, and Crash Man all get small glimpses of their abilities. The bubble and bombs that Proto Man used come from Bubble Man and Crash Man, and then Quick Man is able to fire boomerangs. Roll, Light, Rush, and Rad go to the secret meeting spot and hide. Almost immediately, a robot zips around and puts them all in chains. It's Flash Man. He laughs as Wily and Hector step out from the shadows. Hector, why are you doing this? Light yells. The Hector you know is dead, Wily laughs. Show him. Hector removes his face, showing that he was an android the whole time. Do you like my little show? Wily boasts. The power of industry connections can be pretty strong indeed. Rad shouts how he's gonna arrest Wily, but Wily tells him they're in international waters. The FF Corps has no jurisdiction. Besides, he has a distraction that'll keep them away just fine. He laughs and walks away with Hector. Flashman hesitates for a moment, and then undoes the hero's restraints, and immediately zips away. It's unclear whether Flashman wants to save them, or if he's just that confident they can't stop Dr. Wily's plans. Back in the arena, Mega Man takes a minute to catch his breath, since the semifinals are coming up. He checks the board and sees that his next opponent is Proto Man. Proto Man looks over at him and smiles, ready to fight. The two meet on opposite ends of the arena, and the match begins. "You don't have to do this, Proto Man," Mega Man pleads. "Look, just tell me what's going on and I'll let you win." "I'll never do that, Mega Man," shouts Proto. "You'll never understand what it's like." He shoots a flame blast at Mega Man and Mega Man dodges. "You don't know what it's like to be abandoned like scrap metal, to be tossed out when you could be of no use. Dr. Light isn't the saint you think he is." Proto Man flings a boomerang at Mega Man. Mega Man shoots a few blasts at Proto Man, which he blocks with his shield. The boomerang comes back to hit Mega Man in the side of the head as Proto Man brutally stomps him down. "Proto Man, this is all a misunderstanding," says Mega Man. "You're my brother! Light wouldn't abandon you! What is helping Wily gonna accomplish?" Proto Man screams, "You don't know what you're talking about," as he unleashes more of his power. Mega Man is on the back foot as they fight, and eventually Proto Man knocks Mega Man clean out of the ring with a heavy punch augmented by his speed ability. Mega Man saves himself by floating just an inch above the ground. He's finally making use of his copied abilities, and technically he's still in the running. Something about this fight has driven Mega Man to the brink, or maybe he just wants to give Proto Man the fight he was looking for. Either way, the real battle begins now. Mega Man and Proto Man battle, with Mega Man using his familiar arsenal of abilities from the first game, which makes him pretty evenly matched. Mega Man, however, has a big boost from the War Mech, which makes it pretty clear he is the stronger robot. Mega Man is about to defeat Proto Man when he looks around. The audience is scared, and Mega Man once again feels a sinking feeling in his metaphorical gut, that everyone will turn against him once they know his true power. We get a cutaway to Wily as he presses a button and laughs maniacally. Proto Man is about to throw a metal blade at Mega Man once he and Mega Man are captured. They're bound by claws that come from the ground, seemingly sapping their energy. A large hologram appears in front of the main monitor. Flashman tries to disable it, but it doesn't work. The hologram shows the figure of a green, alien-like creature who addresses the crowd with a booming voice.
"Remain calm. This island is under my command."
Everyone panics as a dome closes over the island, preventing anyone from getting out.
"You can call me your lord.
This planet will soon be mine, but first, all of the dangerous robots will be neutralized." The alien holds up the fake Professor Hector, his head cut clean off. Mega Man tries to get away, but Proto Man stops him. Our fight isn't finished. Mega Man immediately steps onto the grass, eliminating himself. "There, are you happy?" Proto Man smiles. Happy. So Mega Man 2, the game, technically has an alien in it, which fits into the futuristic theme of this phase pretty well. The final boss of Mega Man 2 is a hologram of an alien created by Dr. Wily, and for the Mega Man 2 movie, it's too perfect to not add that alien. I was originally planning on having the alien be a real alien and the secret final boss of the tournament, but there's two reasons I didn't go with that. First reason, I don't want literally every movie to have an alien as the villain, because then they'd all feel the same conflict-wise. The second reason is that the first Mega Man movie had a lot of similarities and inspiration to the James Gunn Superman movie. I'm not gonna steal the plot of the Superman sequel that hasn't even come out yet. Dr. Light, Roll, Rush, and Rad try to get their bearings while the whole crowd runs around to try and fly away. Mega Man runs up to his family as they plan where to go. No one has any ideas of what to do. Flashman returns, knocking Mega Man down, and everyone tries to fight Flashman, but he avoids all of their attacks. Mega Man isn't using any of his copy abilities. Suddenly, Proto Man shows up and defeats Flashman easily, saving the group. I can take you to Dr. Wily. Dr. Light says that there's no way the group is gonna follow Proto Man, but Mega Man tells him it's okay. He has a feeling he can trust Proto Man. They go to a laboratory, where Dr. Wily is standing unguarded. Wily is surprised, but doesn't seem to resist. "Now I can't arrest you myself," Rad says. But if a consenting adult wants to cuff another, I can't do anything to stop it," he says as he hands a pair of handcuffs to Dr. Light, who almost immediately captures Wily. In case you were wondering if Mega Man 2 has Old Man Yowie, the answer is yes, it does. For a moment, it looks like most of the plot is resolved since Dr. Wily is captured, but there's still so many lingering plot threads that obviously it isn't true. A few minutes later, Dr. Wily is brought to a secure location as Dr. Light questions him, with the rest of the rock and roll family. Wily is still as confident as ever. It turns out that a big part of the scientists on this island worked for him. Not all, but the creators of all the Robot Masters did. Even though he was disgraced, there's still a group of people who believe in his cause that robots should rule the world, because humans are too weak to control themselves. The whole alien thing was a cover to take advantage of people's anxieties. In fact, about 8 different scientists show up around Wily, all with the 8 Robot Masters around them. They surround the heroes, but of course, Proto Man makes his entry, and immediately points his weapon at Dr. Wily. "You lied to me," he yells. Dr. Light gets in front of Wily, not wanting Proto Man to kill him. Proto Man stops. He immediately breaks down into tears, and Mega Man puts his hand on his shoulder, comforting him. Proto Man explains that he only now realized Dr. Wily lied to him. Wily told him that Dr. Light abandoned him because he was faulty, and Wily wanted to build him up into a powerful robot who will rule over the world. But truly, he never was the one Dr. Wily wanted to control the world. Dr. Wily laughs. "Proto Man, did you honestly believe you were strong enough to control people?" "I don't want to control anything!" Proto Man yells. I just wanted somewhere to belong." Wily smiles. His plan is set into motion, with or without Proto. But unbeknownst to him, Proto Man respects Mega Man. "Mega Man," he says, "you need to promise me this. Don't hold back anymore. You can't save people if you aren't doing it to the best of your ability." "Fine," says Mega Man. "Now what's the plan?" Mega Man, Roll, Rad, and Proto Man battle the Robot Masters. As Proto Man explains the deal, he's not the only one with copy abilities. On this island is Gamma, a supercomputer that's been absorbing everyone's energy. That's why Rad Spencer felt so drained when he was fighting. Roll finds a way to direct an electric shock through each of the Robot Masters, temporarily disabling their functions until turned back on. "I guess there is a way to knock out the Robot Masters," she says. She and Rad stay behind to help people get to safety, as Proto Man shows Mega Man to where Gamma is. Gamma is the final boss of Mega Man 3, and in that game was basically just a giant robot for Mega Man to fight, but here it's something different. Gamma would be less cartoonish than the other robots. He's an unthinking, unfeeling agent of destruction, and he has all of the copy abilities of both Mega Man and Proto Man. Mega Man tries to reason with Gamma, but Gamma is single-minded to the idea of subjugating people, programmed to be Dr. Wily's perfect servant. During the climactic battle, a large part of the island is destroyed, so the role of Dr. Light and Roll will be to help everyone evacuate. Rad will try to arrest the scientists who are affiliated with Wily, but they all run away. It doesn't matter much at this point when the whole place is crumbling anyways. After a long battle, Mega Man unleashes his energy from the war mech, and Gamma, in a last resort of its own, attempts to take in all of Mega Man's energy. Gamma explodes, trapping Mega Man underneath rubble under the sea, and taking away the war mech's energy from Mega Man's body permanently. As Proto Man looks for him, Mega Man thinks about all the lives he's had to take. The Robot Masters, Tiamat, Ganon, and now Gamma. Under different circumstances, he could have been just like the robots he's destroyed. Mega Man starts to wonder if maybe this is where he belongs. Rush, well, rushes to find Mega Man, suddenly running away from Roll and Light. I did not completely forget about him. A bunch of rubble blocks his path, so people do their part to move it, helping him go where he needs to go. This is the feel-good moment of the movie, if you will. Rush sees where Mega Man is and morphs into a submarine. That's a thing in Mega Man 3 and can probably be established somewhere earlier on in the movie, so it doesn't come out of nowhere. With Rush, Proto Man, and Gamma, I've accidentally turned this into a Mega Man 3 movie, which is kind of funny, considering that the first Mega Man movie had elements from Mega Man 4. Anyways, Rush saves the day, and a crowd forms to start cheering for him and Proto Man. Mega Man isn't so worried about people accepting him anymore, bringing his character arc that started in the first Mega Man movie and continued in Captain N the Final Fantasy to a close. The day is saved. Some other agents from the FF Corps arrest Dr. Wily. Even though they have no jurisdiction, there was a diplomat from the United Nations on this island, meaning they now have special orders to arrest Wily in international waters. One of the agents sticks out like a sore thumb against the others, a Russian, bald, strong man named Agent Karnov. Nobody bothers to question him, mostly out of fear. He will become relevant in future movies, but not now. Proto Man pleads for them to not scrap the Robot Masters, so the FF Corps obliges. They were only acting under Wily's programming, and Proto Man knows they have a better life. Robots aren't exactly their jurisdiction anyways. Dr. Light tells Proto Man that he would of course be welcome to stay with him in the lab, and Proto Man thanks them, but he has other plans. He wants to assemble the Robot Masters and the other abandoned robots of the world to try and create a better life for them. A world where they can live together with humans. That way, everyone who isn't as lucky as Mega Man can have a family. You can tell Proto has seen Astro Boy. He'll visit Mega Man when he gets the chance, of course. Mega Man, Roll, and Dr. Light say goodbye to their new friends Proto Man and Rad Spencer. Back at Dr. Light's lab, Light reveals that he's going to be starting a group to investigate corruption in robotic scientists all over the world. Dr. Cossack gets ownership of the lab while he's gone, to which Cossack is overjoyed at the prospect of being the one to carry on Light's legacy. Just like Light carries on the legacy of Hector wherever he may be, Mega Man is happy about being part of building a better world, even if the work is nowhere close to being done. To close off the movie, one last look at what Proto Man is up to. He's with the Robot Masters, who are regretful of their actions and remorseful about almost killing people. There is one last threat though. The tournament never actually finished. Proto Man draws a circle in the ground to act as a ring and fights the other competitor who qualified for the semifinals. The guy he was set to fight, Bubble Man, because it's really funny that Bubble Man got so far in the tournament. The film ends as they clash bubbles. Mega Man 2 follows a similar trajectory to Super Mario Land, in that it chooses to focus on one, smaller location, but the plot balloons in the end. Honestly though, I found it not too difficult to juggle character plot lines, and having character arcs make sense, at least to me. Maybe I'm just getting better at writing these, I don't know. Mega Man's character arc involves learning that the ugly parts of what he's done are a part of himself, and that he can't just ignore them. Having his War Mech powers taken away represents a clean slate, and it also helps future plans to not have a guy with godlike powers walking around. Although, if he starts copying more machines again, who knows? For those of you who forgot, the War Mech is an enemy in Final Fantasy, and Mega Man was forced to copy its powers in Captain N the Final Fantasy. Proto Man has a similar arc to Mega Man, and there's a dual protagonist angle which I thought worked out pretty well. Proto Man has done a few bad things, and he will try his best to make up for them in future movies. Although I will say, I really don't have very many ideas for what to do with him in the future. I couldn't not have Proto Man in the movie though, so I'll think of something. In addition to that, the tournament arc format allowed me to naturally set up a whole ass secret agent plotline, and add in Bionic Commando content, which has fuck all to do with Mega Man at first, but makes some sense in my plot. I'm doing an imaginary cinematic universe, so there's gonna be some smashing of action figures together like that. Speaking of which, the next part is the most action figure part of all, the mid and post credit scenes. Mid-credit scene takes us to a home where Professor Hector is tied up. The real Professor Hector. Just when he's starting to give up on all hope of rescue, Rob the robot shows up. Excitedly, Hector motions for Rob to come and help him. Rob slowly moves forward and awkwardly moves his arms and just picks up Hector. Hector sighs. This isn't really meant to set up anything, but I had to include Rob here. How could I not? I think it's actually kind of fun that because of the tournament, I could include a few different robots from the NES library, like Probotector or Rob himself. I also find it extremely tragic that I could not include any Joy Mac Fight content because it was made a couple years after 1991. Post-credits scene. A Galactic Federation ship is flying through space. On board is Mother Brain, last seen in Metroid. She survived the destruction of planet Zebes. The crew secretly plan to take her out, when one is suddenly enveloped by a psychic attack and falls on the ground in agony. Alright, says Mother Brain. How long until we reach Earth? This is basically to confirm what we already know, that Mother Brain will be at least some kind of a threat moving forward. Mega Man 2 actually did have an alien all along. So with that, Mega Man 2 is done, and we're moving on to one I'm genuinely excited for. The first holiday special of the Captain NCU. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, a Captain N Halloween special. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde has a reputation as being one of the most infamously bad NES games. This reputation was pretty much single-handedly shaped by the YouTuber James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd, and I was drawn to the game when forming the idea of this silly Halloween special. Dr. Jekyll is objectively not a good game. It is baffling and frustrating, and the angry video game nerd was right, because I don't know what they were thinking. But honestly, when I was playing the game for footage, I had a lot of fun. It's not good, but going through the levels isn't as bad as I would have assumed, and if you understand the rules, it's honestly worth playing for its place in history alone. I would honestly love a remake of this game, and it's so fascinating, I could easily make a video on it alone. This is not a review of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde though, so I should get to the actual material. Even though this pitch is a Halloween special, and out-of-date one at that, it will be a canon entry in the franchise. It won't be essential knowledge or anything, but hopefully it will progress the characters and the storyline of the phase in different ways. So with that, here's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, a Captain N Halloween special. The movie begins in a dark, boarded-up apartment in London. As the camera pans across the room, there's bills, papers, and assorted knickknacks scattered all over the floor. There's a board on the wall plastered with a series of grainy photographs that all appear to depict some hulking monster attacking buildings and generally being a menace. There is a red string connecting some of the photos and notes scribbled on the wall. A man in a black coat and top hat, looking straight out of the Victorian age, ponders over it all. He checks his watch. Oh my, I'm nearly late for my flight. He speedwalks through a park on his way to the airport. A kid passes by him and immediately turns around and fires a slingshot at him. The man calmly dodges. A woman is practicing her singing in a shrill, ear-piercing voice, loud enough that the man has to immediately cover his ears. After he passes her by, he continues on his merry way when another man walks by and immediately drops a bomb below him. The top hat man jumps, avoiding the blast. Well, he says, that was a pleasant walk. As he continues walking, we get a title card. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, a Captain N Halloween special. All of those are real obstacles in the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde NES game, by the way. That's what makes it so entertaining. We cut to Paluopolis, the island where Pit resides, and where the events of Kid Icarus happened. While the rest of the village is busy harvesting their crops for the fall season, Pit is hard at work with a pen and quill writing letters. He finishes the last one, and seals it into an envelope. He writes in big, bold letters, to Simon. The other letters are for the other members of the Game Masters, who he became friends with during the events of Captain N the Final Fantasy. Kevin, Lana, and Mega Man. He steps out of the building, greeting people as he goes along, and hands the letters to a ferryman who'll mail them once he gets to the mainland. Through a montage, we see each of the Game Masters receiving the letters. Kevin is at college with his roommate Rick, and he also gets the letter for Lana since Pit can't exactly reach her. Simon is wrapped in a blanket in a motel room, and Mega Man is at the lab along with Roll and Dr. Light. They open them and read them at the same time. It's an invitation for them to participate in the Paluopolis Autumn Festival on October 31st, a sacred and ancient Paluopolis tradition. So it's a Halloween party? Rick asks Kevin. No, I think it's a Greek thing. It just happens to be on the same day. How are you gonna get to Greece? Kevin smiles. I know someone with a private jet. Cutting to Simon, he coughs and sniffles as he opens the letter. He smiles as he reads it.
It's a month away. Hope I'm better by then.
He checks his phone and sees 16 messages and 3 missed calls from Daisy. There's a brief scene of Mega Man receiving his letter, which Roll and Dr. Light are observing. So this is a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde movie, but it's not just an adaptation of the game/book. It also incorporates characters from across the Captain NCU. The Game Masters will be appearing alongside Dr. Jekyll and or Mr. Hyde. I'm also sitting in on Paluopolis to give Pit more of a leading role, since there was no solo Kid Icarus movie this phase. Let's get back into it. We're back to the Top Hat Man's perspective. He's at a port in Greece, and introduces himself as Dr. Henry Jekyll to a man running a ferry. We leave for Paluopolis in 20 minutes, the ferryman says. Just don't touch the merchandise. Curiously, the ferry is stocked with crates full of candy. Jekyll doesn't question it, and patiently waits for the boat to reach Paluopolis. Jekyll gets off the boat as it reaches the island's shores. He looks around, taking in the island's sights and smiling locals who wave at him. Wow. Jekyll smiles. This island has been all but cut off from the rest of the world for centuries. There's so much to study. Before he can walk forward, a jet lands in the middle of the island. Jekyll has no idea what just happened. Kevin, Mega Man, Roll, Dr. Light, and Lana exit the jet, and Pit excitedly greets them. Unfortunately, Simon couldn't make it since he's sick, but Kevin tells Pit he says hi. There should be at least one scene where Kevin calls his parents too, so Mario, Pauline, and Luigi can appear at least somewhere in this special. Anyways, Pit is really happy to show everyone around. He's been spending a lot more time studying and hasn't been outside as much. The village is old and run down, so it's not much to see, but there's a good community, and we get a few cameos from some of the members of the Order of Icarus, the order Pit leads that is dedicated to protecting the people of the island. One of the cool things about a holiday special is that you can just see characters hanging out, and I want that to be the vibe here as everyone reunites with each other. I'm not saying that any of my pitches feel like the original Captain N TV show, but this is probably the one that would feel the most like the original Captain N TV show. Pit also asks if he can hold Lana's weapon for a second, and seemingly enchants it with some kind of spell, which will be relevant later. So what kind of customs do you guys have on this island? Mega Man asks. Well, Pit explains, once it gets dark out here, we all dress up and go door to door to get candy. It's so much fun, you guys will love it. That sounds a lot like Halloween, Kevin remarks. Halloween? What's that? Asks Pit. The Paluopolis Autumn Festival is a custom that's been going for centuries. That sounds fun, says Lana, but I didn't bring a costume. No worries, says Pit. We've got you all covered. Cut to the Game Masters, all decked out in costumes themed around gods and monsters from Kid Icarus. Kevin is dressed in a toga with a fake spear and shield. Lana is dressed like Palutena, Mega Man is dressed like Death, and Pit like a Hydra. You look good, Lana, says Kevin. Thanks, I love these costumes. Just then, the four are interrupted by a suspiciously British voice. By Jove, are you the Game Masters? Dr. Jekyll goes up to the four with a smile on his face. I'm Dr. Jekyll. I'm from London, but I came here to study monsters. London can be so hostile sometimes, so it's nice to have a break. From my understanding, there's an autumn festival? Dr. Jekyll? Kevin asks.
I know you. I've studied you in my research papers before. Kevin shows him his phone.
My boy, is this the paper you're turning in? These aren't real citations. You won't pass any class with this drivel.
Jekyll tries to fix Kevin's poor attempt at a research paper as Pitt talks. Well, I'm glad you're here on Paliopolis. The more the merrier for our festival. He turns to the rest of the Game Masters. Too bad Simon couldn't make it though. You're from London? Mega Man asks. I've been there a bit recently to investigate the Mr. Hyde case.
The Mr. Hyde case,
says Jekyll forebodingly.
Maybe we can work together once this is over. I've been investigating it myself, and results have been inconclusive.
Who's Mr. Hyde? Asks Pitt.
He's some kind of creature who's been terrorizing the streets of London lately. Dr. Jekyll explains. Wanton destruction of property mostly. As of yet, nobody knows who or what he even is.
Everyone hangs out for a bit until the sun sets. Pitt shows Jekyll the Paliopolis library where he's been studying, so Jekyll can learn a bit about the folklore of Paliopolis. He studies for an hour or two until Jekyll suddenly gets a surge of rapid illness. His face has an almost greenish tint as he runs outside in panic. Before he can even scream out in pain, he's hit by a bolt of lightning from the sky. In the horrible flash of light, Mr. Hyde is born. Mr. Hyde should look as close as possible to the box art of the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde NES game, only a lot bigger and much more outright monstrous, to match his sprite from the game. Hyde walks forward as two monsters emerge from the ground, immediately knowing to serve him. The Game Masters visit the house of the old village chief, who regales them with long and drawn-out stories of his youth. This is what they have to go through for his candy. Meanwhile, the people of this village are having fun, completely unaware of what's been unleashed. That is, until Mr. Hyde hits up a few houses, and start demanding people give him their candy, or he'll beat them senseless. Terrified, houses start to give him bowls and bowls of candy to his sick delight, and his two minions find every baby in the town to steal candy from. The minions in question are a flying bat demon named Eproshka and an old woman named Honoria, both enemies from the games whose names I definitely knew without having to consult a PDF of the game's manual. Throughout his rampage, only one villager is brave enough to stand up to Mr. Hyde, an older, balding blonde man with glasses. In a sneering tone, he jeers, "Your evil plan is to ask for candy? What a crockload of diarrhea horse shit! I've seen more intimidating villains in a Care Bears cartoon." Jekyll bubbles with rage and slumps the villager over his shoulder, preparing to take him to the town square. I mean, what were you thinking? I don't really do casting for these pitches, because I don't know that many actors, but to be clear, this is a cameo appearance by James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd, the guy who popularized the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde game in the first place. This is also another bit of casting. I think it would be fun to have David Dastmalchian play Dr. Jekyll / Mr. Hyde. He's a popular actor with a history of horror, so it would fit, and he would 100% do a movie like this. But the reason in particular I chose him is because one of his first movie roles was the Angry Video Game Nerd movie. I'm not making that up. This is their reunion. Would the Angry Video Game Nerd still have existed or been as influential in the timeline I constructed where Nintendo games just stopped after 1991? Probably not. But I don't think I need to go butterfly effect in this project because there's no way this timeline would exist anyways. The Game Masters see Mr. Hyde and run over to the town square to see what's happened. The Jekyll you know is no longer. Behold, Game Masters, as I enact my evil plan. He lays the villager on the ground and walks forward, stepping right onto the villager to his mild discomfort. I mean, that looks like it kinda hurts, I guess, says Kevin. Who are you exactly? Pitt asks. It is I, the great Mr. Edward Hyde. Mr. Hyde? Mega Man realizes. What's happened to Jekyll? I am Jekyll. Have you all heard of a split personality? Well, I'm the evil side of Mr. Jekyll. assembled into one malevolent being here to cause chaos.
So the best you can come up with is to step on a guy? The nondescript angry villager yells. What kind of evil split personality is that? I'd rather have a bull take a—
Honora, bring them to me.
Suddenly, Honoria walks to the square with not one, not two, but 3 children in her arms, who she gently places down into the square. Jekyll cackles maniacally as he walks forward like a juggernaut to trample on the children. He's stopped by a beam of light to the face. Neat! So that's what the enchantment does, Lana says as she holds her sword forward. She swings it twice more, firing beams of energy at Jekyll, as the children get up and run away. You know how in Zelda 1 you can fire a beam of energy from your sword? That's canon now. A battle breaks out, as the Game Masters fight Jekyll and his minions. Mr. Hyde is able to use his iconic and terrifying Psycho Wave attack, but the Game Masters quickly get the upper hand. Mega Man picks up Jekyll with his super strength, and is about to throw him to the ground when the demon yells,
Stop! Pit, I challenge you to a Medusa battle.
The village practically stands still as Pit gasps.
Ha ha ha! That's right, I know about your customs, and I challenge you to a Medusa battle.
Mega Man asks what that means as Pit explains. A Medusa battle is a game where 2 teams compete to tell the scariest story. They say that if you refuse a challenge, Medusa herself will take your soul. Didn't you defeat Medusa? Mega Man asks. Well, yes, but it's a tradition. I can't refuse a Medusa battle.
Here's the deal,
Hyde says.
I like a good challenge. If I win, you must give me all the candy in Paliopolis. But if you win, I won't harm anyone in this village.
Or anyone at all, Pit adds.
Fine,
Hyde says, as the 2 shake on it.
But be warned, my stories are pretty scary.
Who's judging the competition? Kevin asks. Well, we need someone unbiased, says Pit. Someone who will call out a bad story no matter who tells it. Everyone looks at the angry villager. They have their judge. With the term set, the challenge begins. The Game Masters, along with Dr. Light, Roll, and everyone in the village, come together to brainstorm in the Parthenon structure. Pit brings in some tomes, and there's a big montage where everyone contributes their own ideas or thoughts, etching them onto one big blackboard. Roll is also researching Dr. Jekyll on the side to find out what's really going on with him, and his split personality. They will call Simon at one point to get some input from him. Meanwhile, Mr. Hyde turns back into Dr. Jekyll, as the other demons torment him to try and find out what makes him scared. Once both sides have come up with their scary stories, the competition begins. In the town square, the whole village watches the competition in suspense. All the candy is on the line as Mr. Hyde clears his throat.
One day, there lived a man named Dr. Frankenstein.
He describes an abridged version of the original Frankenstein story. By the end of the story, the whole village is quaking in their boots. They've been terrified, all right.
Ah, there's my story. Got anything better?
Nervously, Pit speaks up. Well, this is one we've all come up with, and it can scare anyone, even a monster like you. Here it goes. One day, I was walking through a narrow alleyway when I saw an old man selling a... Kevin whispers something into his ear, and Pit continues. A video game. But not just any video game. It was a haunted video game. We fade away, showing a lot of time has passed. And then it turns out the old man had been dead. Dead for 20 years. There's an awkward silence after the mess of a story, as they both turn to the villager in suspense. Look, I'm gonna be honest here. Pit's story was the most half-assed cat turd of a story I ever heard in my life. Nothing in the story works together. I mean, skeletons with chainsaws? Really?
Well, Game Masters, time to pony up. Give me all the candy in Paliopolis.
In despair, the people of Paliopolis agree to Mr. Hyde's terms. Since they're so isolated from the mainland, the 31st of October is the only day most people even get to eat candy, which makes most people depressed. Begrudgingly, Pit is the one to hand Hyde the last box. I'm sorry, everyone. This is my fault, says Pitt. And I know you probably won't forgive me, but I want to say, coming up with that story was some of the most fun I had in months. Mr. Hyde, take this box. You're the better storyteller. Mr. Hyde takes a step back, as if he got some kind of psychic damage.
Shut up! Don't say that!
That you're a talented author with a good eye for the macabre?
No, shut up!
Right as Mr. Hyde says this, everyone realizes just how they need to defeat Mr. Hyde. Kill him with kindness. Everyone starts hitting Mr. Hyde with as much positivity as possible. Your hair smells nice, your personality is great, you have a good sense of style. Mr. Hyde screams in positive agony and collapses back into Dr. Jekyll as a demon flies out from him. Pitt goes to catch Dr. Jekyll as he falls to the ground. I was Mr. Hyde this whole time? Jekyll looks at the monster who possessed him. Pitt recognizes him. He's a monster from this region's folklore, Letul. The game masters fight Letul and his demons, but he flies out of their range. Letul is about to fly away when he's defeated by an arrow shot by Colin, a member of the Order of Icarus, last seen in Kid Icarus. I didn't forget about him. He saves the day. Letul collapses on the ground as the other demons run in shame. Halloween, Paliopolis Autumn Festival is saved. Roll runs in and frantically explains something she found from her research. In the 1600s, there was a notorious pirate named Grant Dantasy, whose entire crew mysteriously disappeared, aside from his first mate, a man named John Jekyll, although he is more commonly known by his nickname, Captain Long John Silver. It's a Robert Louis Stevenson crossover event. Jekyll amassed his own fortune before sailing to England, but legend has it that he and his bloodline were cursed by a demon named Letul. Letul feeds on negative emotions to bring out the monster side of people. Shouldn't he have disappeared once Chaos was defeated? Mega Man asks. No, not necessarily. Dr. Jekyll gets up. Chaos's defeat destroyed most monsters, but some still cling to life. I apologize. I didn't realize Letul could have claimed me. I'll admit, after my job was cut at the university, I've fallen on some hard times, and it's okay, Jekyll. Pitt grabs his hand and helps him up. You're welcome here. Now let's have a great autumn festival together. The game masters, the rest of the village, and their new friend Jekyll all celebrate together and have a damn good time eating a bunch of candy. But this isn't the end for Dr. Jekyll quite yet. A boat reaches the shores of Paliopolis as two secret agents walk out. They rush past all the villagers and both point guns right at Jekyll as everyone is in complete shock. We've been trying to reach you for quite some time, Mr. Hyde. Jekyll flashes back to all the random bombing attacks and slingshots. These random attacks weren't so random all along. The two agents are interrupted by a third. Mega Man recognizes him as the large, bald agent he saw during the events of Mega Man 2. Agent Karnov. Stop. The other two agents immediately back down. Clearly, Karnov has a lot of authority over them. Every time he's speaking, pretend that it's in a thick Russian accent. I'm Agent Karnov, FSS Corps. You, Dr. Jekyll, have been in our sights for a long time. Now, we know you're not Mr. Hyde anymore, but you still have to answer for your crimes. So either we take you to prison for a long time, or you do a job for us. Dr. Jekyll thinks back to his home. All the crimes committed by Mr. Hyde are his responsibility, at least in his mind. I'll go with you, but can't I still see the new friends I've made? I can pull some strings. It is Halloween after all. Their fun night of festivities are interrupted by Dr. Jekyll being taken into FSS Corps custody. The game masters just stand around awkwardly before saying their goodbyes and parting their own ways. Everyone had fun, but now the party is over. Well, that was the most half-assed to end off the movie. We cut to a day later. Kevin is sitting for one of his monster studies classes. Daisy introduces their guest lecturer for the day, Dr. Henry Jekyll, and Kevin smiles. The end. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, a Captain and Halloween special, is probably the goofiest one I've done so far. I'd say it's the closest the Captain NCU gets to an actual comedy. I've had fun here, and there's even some nice power of friendship stuff. I think now that I've established all the big series that need to be here, like Mega Man, Kid Icarus, Zelda, Metroid, and Punch-Out!, I can now incorporate some weirder NES series that I add mostly because they stick out to me, rather than them being important to the library or anything. Not to imply Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is not instrumental to the success of the NES though, of course. With that said, let's get to the mid and post-credit scenes. On the balcony of a hotel room, we see Simon Belmont, staring out into the distance. He's somber and alone. There's a yellow glint in his eye, and as the camera pans up, we see that it suspiciously resembles the same monstrous eyes of Mr. Hyde. So one thing I realized after I planned out this phase is that the two spooky movies of the phase, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Castlevania II Belmont's Revenge, are directly after each other. Instead of changing their orders, I'm gonna lean into it. Both movies will have very different tones, but will carry similar themes, and be collectively referred to as the Cursed Duology. This is also part of the reason why I wrote Simon Belmont out of this special. I look forward to sharing my plans for the Castlevania sequel once the next video comes along. I also did retcon a character from my original Castlevania movie to be the ancestor of Dr. Jekyll. In Castlevania, I set up that a character with less than a minute of hypothetical screen time would be taking over Grant's pirate ship. I didn't intend to use that for Dr. Jekyll purposes at first, but I did leave it open in case I wanted to follow through on it, so fuck it. John Jekyll. I actually included the name John Jekyll as a joke, but then I found out during recording that Treasure Island and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde have the same author. And there's an NES game called Captain Silver that includes Dr. Treasure Island content. I'm at layers of smashing action figures together that haven't even been seen before in this Captain NCU project. And something so stupid can only happen in the Captain N Halloween special. The post-credit scene directly follows the post-credit scene of Captain N the Final Fantasy. Eggplant Wizard from Kid Icarus teamed up with a world-class boxer named King Hippo. Eggplant Wizard shows King Hippo an underground lab with all sorts of complicated technology that makes the whole thing a giant mess of wires and machines. To King Hippo's surprise, the lab is entirely staffed by eggplants with legs, who are awkwardly manning the machinery. They work for me. People I found on the street, and they're all my little eggplants. And if they step out of line, I'll turn them into moussaka. He turns to King Hippo. And if you step out of line, King Hippo, I'll turn you into an eggplant too. So there we go. That's the final pitch of the video, and we are now halfway through Phase 2 of the Captain NCU. Most of the pitches were primarily for fun, besides Metroid, but multiple threats are clearly building for the final conclusion to the phase. Last time, I covered 3 movies, including the conclusion of Phase 1 in one video, but if I were to do 4 movies, including a big Captain N crossover, that would be a lot. So this is my announcement that the next video will cover Castlevania II Belmont's Revenge, The Legend of Zelda Quest of the Avatar, Mother, and 2 TV shows that are a canon part of the Captain NCU, whose titles I will declare later. Also, I finally have a name for the sequel to Captain N the Final Fantasy, Captain N the Game Masters. It's a pretty generic title, but the villains from the original Captain N TV show will be the villains of the movie, so it makes sense to title it after the TV show, except now plural. Thanks for watching. I hope you're looking forward to the future of this project, because I certainly am looking forward to making more. I will say though, might take a while to get to the next video because it does involve me playing 2 really long NES RPGs, so that might be a struggle. I'll see you later.